Record. Um, all right, cool. So we're recording. So again, this meeting is recording. Okay, cool. Because I got my phone right here, which is a camera. So like I was saying, if you just joined us, this is my first video that I'm actually doing intentionally for YouTube, specifically aimed towards my YouTube audience. And if you on here with me tonight, you actually get to benefit from what you get to hear on this video. Now, I'm not trying to come on this video and sound like I know it all, but more so it's kind of help you guys with some of the things that you go through or some of the same things that I go through and I deal with. And I'm currently dealing with. So the goal is to actually help you dig yourself out of whatever type of rut, whatever type of hole you think you in, even when it comes to the words that you say, and even when it comes to your credit. So I'm not perfect. I have a lot of failures underneath my belt, and I'm proud of every single failure that I have underneath my belt because it actually helped me build character and actually helped me be here with you today. So if you just joined us, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Willis Guidry Jr. On YouTube. Again, this is my first intentional video, and it may be the worst video, but the point of it is I'm facing my adversity, something that I talked about last week, is facing the adversity that's ahead of you. Well, this is one of my biggest fears, believe it or not, but I seem to do it so well. And that's talking to people, talking on camera, helping people. And again, it's because of all of the failures that I've had over my, lifespan. So again, it's not to sound like I'm perfect. I'm actually going through these things with you guys myself. All right. So tonight I kind of want to touch on your internal communication. All right. The first half of every single training or meeting that I do, I want to touch on the mindset, shifting the paradigm, shifting the way that you think and feel about yourself before you start trying to absorb the information that I'm sharing. And your internal communication is the most important communication of them all because that's literally you communicating with the things that you say you can and cannot do and the belief system that you have, whether it's faith belief or fear belief. Okay, and we'll get into that a little bit later, and I'll talk about some of the things that I deal with as well. But one of the things that I've struggled with is internal communication. Even though I can communicate to somebody else like effectively and in a positive tone and in a positive way, and they actually get it and they actually go and execute it, sometimes myself, Willis, struggle with those same internal thoughts that actually keep me at a standstill on certain situations, right? It keeps me thinking and worrying when I shouldn't be worrying or thinking about certain things. Darren touched on procrastination last week, and he said that I believe it was when the biggest procrastination is right now or tomorrow. I forgot. I don't want to mess it up on the accent. But what he's saying is that we think about tomorrow so much that we forget about today. So therefore, while we're thinking about today, we procrastinated all throughout the day thinking about tomorrow and never got what we had on our plate today accomplished, if that makes sense. And that's the conversation that we had before he even did the training, because we were talking about procrastination. And as you know, Devin is somebody that I look to when it comes to helping me manage my time, helping me manage stress. And these are some of the things that I'm unraveling about myself that can actually help you, that internal communication. Now, I heard from Myron Golden, one of the coaches that I listen to, is that there's, I believe, 3 ways of communication, or maybe 2 ways of communication. And that's up and down, meaning your communication from you to God and from God to you. He said some of us do that so well. We communicate with God so well, but when it comes to the internal communication, we struggle with that. And therefore, everything that we communicated up and down and what we're communicating internally is not actually coming to life because what we're thinking and feeling about our current situation, about our current emotions, about our current finances, those things we're thinking of what, oh man, what if this happened? What if this happened? What if this happened? He also mentioned that what if we took every single thought that we had and that thought was actually a thought of a positive outcome on every situation that you currently have. He said we can master the negative thoughts so well that we don't even know how to master the positive thought of a certain situation. And it got me thinking, like, you know, he's right. It's been plenty of times in my life where I've been able to master this negative thought, this negative pattern so well to where it actually came to life. But sometimes I struggle with holding that positive image, that positive outcome, the positive thought process, and actually seeing that. Now, don't get me wrong, I've seen it happen, but it was one of those moments where I was unconsciously competent. I think that's what they call it, unconsciously competent, meaning I wasn't aware what I was doing, but I was just doing it so well. But you can easily look up and be like, you know what, geez, I really, I really am not aware of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and what I'm saying. I'm not. And the Bible even speaks on us kind of, keeping our mouth quiet when we don't know good things to say about ourselves or about others. We sit in the gossip and we glorify in the gossip, and then we internalize the gossip. So that's also internal communication. That affects you too. What you communicate with others about also affects your internal communication, because if one person believes that, oh, well, I'm this way and I'm that way and I'm this way, then another person can easily internalize that and associate themselves with that, where it was a specific moment where they may be, at that point of that same individual, but it may not be the case now, right? So that affects our internal communication. That's something that I struggle with a lot. I want to help you guys with the internal communication. Now, last week I spoke about the adversity and some of the things that we say, some of the things that we think about, the thought process, the thought pattern of thinking something, holding it in your mind, and you actually getting the results of it, whether it's good or bad. So what I want you to kind of focus on and kind of pay attention to just over this weekend, is your internal thinking. So when you start having those negative thoughts or negative doubts, or those fears, ask yourself out loud. It's okay. Why am I feeling this way? Where is this coming from? Because most people try to just change and cover up, the dust with the rug and feel like they've cleaned up their mess. But sometimes, what I've learned, and this is from therapy, is getting to the root cause of things is actually asking deeper questions of why, what triggered that, where did that stem from? Who did I hear say that? And why do I feel that that's true? Right? And it goes from like our parents, believe it or not, the things that they instilled in us may not be true, may not be valid. Maybe they were doing things or saying things because that's all they knew how to say or do. They didn't have this information that I'm sharing with you right now about internal thought process and internal thinking and speaking to yourself internally in a positive light. See, one thing you can't do is you can't be negative in one light and then be positive in another and think that you're going to have, abundance. It doesn't work out like that. And I'm learning this. I'm speaking from failure after failure, mistake after mistake. I'm telling you, these are the things that I've gone through, I'm going through. I'm able to reflect and, detox from people and see that my internal thinking is actually what's keeping me from the destination that I'm headed to. My internal beliefs, or maybe my fears that I have, is actually keeping me from progressing, not an individual, not a government. It's the things that's actually in my heart. Like I told you guys before, your heart is literally your earth. That's where, make the world a better place, all of that. You make your world a better place, and the outside world becomes better to you with your perspective, if that makes sense. Because you can't, you can't just cover up change. You actually have to ask questions. You have to be able to acknowledge those questions out loud and answer them. Even if you need to write it on a piece of paper to answer those questions, because what you're doing is you're digging. You're digging, and in order to build anything new, you have to get all of the old soil out. Like I told you before, you have to remove all of the old soil from that area and replace it with new soil, meaning new thought patterns, new eating patterns, new reading patterns, new conversations. I talked about detoxing from people, fasting and praying. And what if God was telling us when we fast and pray, we also fast and pray away from people, meaning we're fasting from people who we're talking to. I've literally taken that intentional since I said it. And I started fasting away from people. I started fasting away from social media, and all of the videos that pop up on my feed, because that's what's feeding me internally. Like, think about it. When you go through something, somebody's feed, somebody's winning, and you may be in a position where you're not, that's something internally. It does something to you, and it may not do something in a positive way, or it may not trigger something for you to actually move on it at that moment, but it does something to you, right? Can y'all still hear me? I want to make sure my mic's still on. Y'all can still hear me. Thumbs up, drop a 7 in the chat. Y'all can still hear me. I want to make sure this makes sense to the people that's actually watching us right now. YouTube individuals, just leave a comment. Let me know if this makes sense. If it don't make sense, hey, you'll figure it out after you watch it a few times. But when it comes to your internal thinking, all of that stuff that you watch, that you listen to on social media, the conversations that you have from your friends who aren't progressing in life, the conversations that you have with family members who aren't progressing in life or heading in the direction that you're heading in, those conversations affect you internally and can slow you down from progression. It can slow you down from progressing to your actual destination, progressing to this information that I'm sharing with y'all when it comes to credit and when it comes to business credit. Because they go, oh man, don't listen to him, man. He don't know what he's talking about. Oh, he's this and he's that. Hey, I'm only speaking from failure, and I'm only speaking what worked for me after I failed at it. I'm not speaking from, Mr. Perfect, Mr. Have It All Figured Out. I don't have it all figured out. I'm working on figuring it out every single day. Just like you have to work on figuring it out every single day and becoming a better individual every single day, not just to yourself and your outside world, but to your interior world as well. What you say and feel about yourself. Just think about this. If we were made in the likeness of God, and you are sitting right now in your living room and you have this terrible feeling about yourself, how do you feel about God right now? Because you can't say, oh, he's merciful, he's the creator, he's the love of our life, he's good, he's amazing, and not actually mean those same things about yourself. What you say about him is the same thing that you have to say and feel about yourself. That's the way that it works out. It's not glorify him and beat myself down. It's glorify him and glorify myself because I was made in his image. I was made in his likeness. He gave me dominion. Out of all things, the first thing that he gave me was the ability to create. Just think about that for a second. Just, just let that kind of soak in. He gave one of the first things that he did for us, and he showed us that he could do. The very first thing he created. Genesis 1, he created. He created. That tells us, what can we do? We can create too. How do we create? Oh, we create with our words. Oh, if we create with our words, shouldn't we watch what we say about ourselves internally if we're creating our earth, our world? If we're expecting our children to respect us and look up to us and to love us, what are we saying and how are we feeling about ourselves internally, not externally? Because here's what I learned, and I've done this. I put on a smile, put on, see, put on a smile. See, you can't, look, with this, you can't see the internal words. Here's one way to see the internal words on somebody. I'm gonna tell you, look at their life. Look at their current situation. Are you fighting? Are you retreating? Are you just gonna step to the side? Look at the progress that they're making. Are they standing up for themselves? Are they standing up in the midst of adversity and trying to come up with a solution every single day? Like every single day, I'm trying to come up with a solution on how to continuously progress as an individual, as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a cousin, as a brother, how to continuously progress and become better at every single title. Not saying that those titles matter, but how can I become better? And the only way that I can become better is not by changing my clothes, not by putting on a smile, not by saying some beautiful words about God and then turning around and not saying those beautiful words about myself. It's crazy. It's crazy. So your words can literally keep you out of situations and it can get you into great situations depending on how you use them. Are you using them to progress your life? Meaning, you know, all right, let's say that today you woke up, you hit your foot on the edge of your bed, you know, then on the way out, the jacket got caught in the door and it ripped. And then when you got that situated, you get in the truck, you got your coffee spilled, you know, you clean that up, you get to work. Now you got your coworker coming to you telling you about something that you made a mistake on. If you are not built to handle that type of stuff, you will call that a bad day. If you are not built to actually use your words properly, you will call that a bad day. And the simple fact that you call that a bad day is literally what that is to you. So you internalize what a bad day is. You've built a frame around and a perspective around what a bad day consists of. Those things consist of bad days. So look what happened. When those things repeat themselves, you internalize it as a bad day. And now what you're doing is you're internally creating bad images in your mind and your thought pattern too. I want y'all to make sure y'all hear it and go back and watch this here. Those days where you stub your toe, where you rip your jacket, where you spill the coffee, where your coworker, those aren't bad days. They're just normal days. It's just a regular day where all right, something else tried to slow me down. What if this here? What if you look at it like this? What if maybe when those things happen, you say, okay, what is the positive outcome of this? Me stubbing my toe, all right, maybe now I need to be more aware when I get out of the bed instead of like just trying to go give myself some space to walk around my bed. You learn something. Okay, that's something positive. Or when I'm walking out the door, make sure that I'm not just rushing, closing the door without actually making sure I'm fully out of the door. You learn something, you're aware of something. Or when you're in the truck and you got your coffee, and that did happen, you know next time, okay, let me tell them not fill it up to the rim. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell them to make sure they put a stopper in it. And then I'm not gonna take the stopper out until I get to my destination or whatever to where I'm stopped. Okay, you figured out a routine on how not to spill coffee in there. That's something positive. That's what you got to look for. That's what you have to start shifting your mind towards. You know, I remember there was a point where I didn't have any furniture in my apartment. You know, I had sold all my furniture in my apartment just so I could try to pay the rent for my apartment. This was like years ago. This was like 2015. You know, I didn't have any furniture. I only had a bed and I had a TV, no couch, no end tables, no nothing. Right. In that moment, I didn't even care about those things. I didn't feel bad about not having them when people came over because I knew that this too I should overcome this. Like this is nothing. Like this is a character building moment in my life to where, okay, I learned something from that. Right. Earlier, I was talking to my sister and my brother, and my brother was telling me, "Hey, I'm going out of town. I'm not gonna say where he went to. I'm going out of town." And I said, "Why are you going out of town?" He said, "Well, I paid this guy who makes $150,000 a month doing solar. I paid him to train me." And I was like, yo, I am so proud of you. I'm happy for you. You know what I'm saying? That I'm proud that you did that. I'm happy you did that. I'm happy you paid somebody to learn something because there's two ways to gain wisdom. Okay. And I want y'all to write this down and remember this. There's only two ways to gain wisdom through mistakes or paying someone. Those are the only two ways of gaining wisdom through mistakes and paying someone for their wisdom. I've paid a lot of people for wisdom. I've made a lot of mistakes. Now, here's the thing. Just because you make a mistake doesn't necessarily mean you gain wisdom from that mistake, especially if you repeat it multiple times like I have in the past. Sometimes it took me, me getting my head beat in to be like, oh, wait a minute. Oh my God. Yes, I got it. I see it. Yes, I'm aware. I gained wisdom from it. And it may have taken me 3 years. You don't gain wisdom from a mistake just automatically if you're not renewed. If your mind isn't renewed in the word of God, you just won't, or you're not actually aware of what you did, or you're not holding yourself accountable when you make those mistakes. You know, one of the things I try to do my best is holding myself accountable to anything that I do and I say, that may hurt somebody, that may slow the progress down of what I'm doing. Even if something arises, I hold myself accountable. I always say, hey, you know what? This was my fault. And here's why. Because I did this, and this. And I'm aware of the situation. And yes, but here's what I'm not going to do anymore. This is what I'm going to fix and I'm going to correct so I don't make that same mistake again. That's wisdom. Or you just do like my brother, pay somebody. This dude making $150,000 a month, he gonna teach me how to make $150,000 a month. If not 150, I'll at least come close to 75, because sometimes people hear that high target and be like, ooh, that's just so much money. I can't listen. I'd rather have that high target and go after that high target and hit everything else underneath it, including 75,000 a month, $100,000 a month. And even if I come to $149,000 a month, but don't hit that $150,000 a month mark, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So, all right, enough with the motivation, the paradigm shift. Y'all want to know about credit. Y'all want to know about business credit. Y'all want to know how can I clear my stuff up in a short period of time? Well, listen, the only way that that's going to happen is if you work it. If you work the steps that I provide for you, it can happen. If you pick up the phone, make the phone calls, it can happen. If you're so aggressive on your credit, it will happen. If you spend more time on your credit than you do any social media platform, any conversations with any friends, any family, any boyfriends, any girlfriend, if you spend more time on your credit, I guarantee you the information will soak into you and you'll be able to spit this information out without having to look at a piece of paper to remember it. So I know Chico did a one-on-one with me. That's Nolito on here. He did a one-on-one with me, and the one-on-ones was geared towards giving individuals a game plan about that situation. Basically, showing them what that situation looked like. Like, hey, this is where you are. And that was one of the things that I had to do when I started messing with my credit is know where I am, meaning, okay, this is where I am, hold myself accountable. Don't feel bad for where I currently am because I know where I'm going. And that's the 750 club, the 800 club, where everybody on this here is going, right? But do the stuff repeatedly without complaining, right? Look at complaining like, well, let me tell you a story, and some of y'all might understand the story, might not. There was an army of 3,000 men, right? The army, they traveled way across wherever, to battle somebody. But before they left, they were specifically told not to say a word. Not to say a word. Not to say a word. Not even when we got to our destination, don't say a word. Don't say nothing. Don't whisper nothing to anybody. We're just gonna march however many miles. Don't say anything. All right? Don't say anything until it's time to attack. And then we'll say charge. But other than that, don't say anything. The reason why the general didn't want them to say anything is because he didn't want anybody to murmur any type of fear. He didn't want anybody to complain on the way to the destination. So don't complain on the way to the 700 club, to the 750 club, to clearing up your situation or building that business. Don't complain there because that's just gonna make it longer. What's worse, hearing somebody else complain or hearing yourself complain? What can be? I mean, I just like to know that in the chat. Like, what's worse, somebody else and hearing yourself? Do you actually hear yourself complain and realize when you're complaining? Like, complaining is not just, oh yeah, no, I want to do that. Complaining can come in different tones. It can come in different conversations. It can come sound like lack. It can come in so many different ways. But like listening to yourself complain is sometimes you just gotta be like, please just shut up and just do it. Dude, that's one of the Nike has the best slogan ever. They have just do it. It's just simple. It's just do it. Like just do it. Just do it. For what? Just whatever it is you said you were gonna do. That's one of the things that I struggled with because of the internal conversations that I would have with myself. I wouldn't just do it sometimes. I wouldn't just do it, right? I wouldn't just sit there and focus on my credit and focus on how I could build my credit up, right? I didn't just sit there and just pick up the phone and call the credit bureaus and say, hey, I'd like to remove these unauthorized credit inquiries on my credit, or I'd like to remove these addresses from my credit report that aren't mine. Just do it. Like the videos that I drop in my Telegram chat, the YouTube clips, those are videos for you to just do it. Just watch it and do it. You know why? Because you aren't currently paying for wisdom. Wisdom is being given to you at no expense. You aren't paying for Devin Daniels' wisdom. It's being given to you at no expense and looking for nothing in return. So why wouldn't you just do it? Just watch it. Just be on the call. Just write down the information. You aren't, well, Steve, yeah, some of y'all have to pay for Steve, but it's worth it. But you aren't, paying a high ticket for his wisdom, because Steve charged $5,000 to $10,000 all the way up to 25,000. I I know for a fact. Yeah. So when somebody has something that you can gain wisdom from, you can leverage your current situation and get ahead. And it's not even costing you $1. I don't think Telegram charge to have Telegram right now. My group isn't a paid group. You don't have to pay to get in this group. You just have to know somebody that's willing to share the information. Share the link. Hey bro, I was in this group and they talking about credit, they talking about mental awareness, they talking about God in there, they talking about digital marketing in there, they talking about time management, they talking about stress management, they talking about like everything in there, and they're actually just giving the resources for you to go and just do it. The simplest thing, just do it. Like write that on a little sticky note or something and just put it on your mirror and just look at it and just do it. And I'm not trying to like advertise this company whatsoever, but they got a really good slogan. Like if you really say that slogan every single day, every single time adversity hits you, or every single time you sit at the computer and you want to clear your credit up, you want to call the credit bureaus, you want to send that inquiry letter out, you want to send that dispute letter out, just remember, just do it. What's the worst thing that happened? Oh, you end up getting good credit. What's the worst thing that happened if you just take that chance and spend that extra money to advance yourself? What's the worst thing that can happen? Like when I hear a lot of people say, I want to bet on myself. I want to bet on myself. Do you really want to bet on yourself? Like when you actually have nothing back against the wall, you got a few items that you can possibly sell to get you some coins. Then at that point, will you bet on yourself and put that money into you? That's where just do it comes in at. So I kind of got off track, but let's go back to your credit, right? If you're having trouble with inquiries right now, I put the inquiry template inside of the Telegram chat. Okay, all you have to do is literally go find all of your inquiries for that specific bureau. If it's TransUnion, you find all your TransUnion inquiries, the names and dates, copy and paste. Put TransUnion, sign it, put your driver's license, utility bill, social security card, and if you have an FTC report, also, right? Meaning from identitytheft.gov, if you have one of those reports, also attach that with it. Now, when you have all this stuff and you send this stuff out you can say, I send my stuff out overnight. I've always sent my stuff out overnight. I pay a little bit more money, but they get the document the next day. It takes them 5 days to process your documents when they receive it overnight. So when they receive it, and I know that it's 5 days, it takes them to process it. What I do is on the 6th or 7th day, I'm calling them and I'm putting those same items in dispute that's on that document. The inquiries, any type of accounts, any type of names, any phone numbers, any collections, any medical bills, any student loans. I put the I put the template for the accounts for you to post your accounts to as well. Again, you can post your accounts to your FTC report at identitytheft.gov if you also have that same report. I'll put a video in the chat on how to properly use the identitytheft.gov and the CFPB portal as well too. But if you do these steps repeatedly, you will keep your credit. But here's another thing that you also have to do is manage your credit cards and manage credit period. You know, a lot of people want these loans. You know, I want a loan, I want a credit card. Listen, man, when I first got this information and I got my first $90,000 in credit cards and loans, man, I had the information, but I didn't do right with the money. I was starting my transport company. I was putting money into that, but I didn't have a full solid game plan on building and structuring that company until the second time around we did the transport company is when I had the real game plan, right? Again, it goes back to me just doing it. Just do it. Just do the business and then learn, make the mistakes, gain wisdom, pay somebody, gain wisdom, repeat the process, get the results. It's not, think about the business, think about the business, think about the business, never do nothing, never do nothing, and never do. It's not that. It's start the business, fail in the business, learn from the failures, the mistakes, gain wisdom, pay somebody for wisdom, pay them, even if you pay them tens of thousands of dollars, pay them. I've paid mentors, coaches, 10,000, 20,000, $25,000, $5,000, $4,000, $2,000, $1,000 a month. Like that's what I've paid. Like I'm in these groups. I'm in these groups. I'm in these groups. You know, I got the access to the people because I paid for it. That's what you also got to consider when you're looking to go and invest in a coach, when you're looking to go and invest in a mentor. Like, yo, I'm gonna pay for this person to help me skip the line. Instead of me sitting here struggling, like right now, there's something that I'm struggling with in my life. Instead of me struggling by myself, what do you think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pay for wisdom. I'm not, listen, I have learned not to struggle by yourself. Find a mentor, find a coach that you can pay or whose group you can get in for free, or even if they charge to get in that group, just get in that group. Because now I rather pay for, like, yo, I'd rather somebody come in here and teach me sign language instead of me like trying to sit here and learn it on my own, you know, because there's different type of slang that could be used with sign language. And I don't want to learn that over the years, I want somebody to speed me up and, give me help, so I can communicate to, my daughters, if that's how they want to communicate with me, so I can communicate with other people through sign language, and using the proper slang that we may need to use to communicate because somebody sped me up versus me just watching, this YouTube, that YouTube, and trying to piece it together. That's what, like, you're gonna have to be comfortable with breaking the bank when it comes to betting on yourself. There's no other way to say it. You got to be comfortable with breaking the bank when betting on yourself. So right now, you're not breaking the bank by learning this information from me. I want y'all to have this information. I want y'all to post in the chat, hey, this was deleted. Hey, Will, I got these results. I want y'all to tell me, hey, I got approved for this Discover credit card. Hey, I got approved for this Capital One credit card. Like, I want y'all to tell me that. Like, that's what I want. But after me is gonna be paid wisdom. Because nobody after me is gonna give it to you for free. I'm just speaking facts. I promise you. And you're probably saying, Will, why are you giving it to us for free? Why are you? There's a principle in the Bible, and it's sowing and reaping. Right now, this is me sowing. I don't know when the harvest is gonna come. It may not come this year, it may not come next year. I don't know. But I know based upon my past mistakes, the seeds that I sowed back then and the harvest that I'm reaping from those seeds, some of those seeds fell on soil that I didn't want them to fall on. And now I'm reaping that. So this time around, I got way more seeds to throw on the ground, but I'm intentional about the soil that I'm throwing my seeds in. I'm not just throwing them anywhere anymore. I'm not just giving my attention to just people who want to pay me, a couple thousand to try to speed up, and I just deal with their problems and they don't learn nothing and they blame me when things like, no, I am intentional about where I'm dumping my seeds. And the safest place was for me to create an environment, this Telegram chat that we have, to where I can actually put my own seeds in the soil that I already created, that's already ready. The soil, this is right. This is my environment. This Brave Asset channel, this is my environment. This is me creating a space so I can sow seed and have my friends come and sow seed so you guys can take the seed and you guys can go and apply the seed. It's just like an apple. When you open up an apple, it's 4, 5, 6 seeds in there. When you plant that apple, when you plant those seeds, you don't get one apple, you get 6 different trees. And what those 6 different trees produce is more apples. So if you have 6 seeds and you sow all of those seeds, they're going to continue to produce. That's why I'm giving you guys the information. So when you absorb the seeds and the fruits start bearing from your tree, then you're able to sow more seeds into the people that are coming behind you that's also going to be looking to you. Come on, man. Ooh, do that make sense? I just want to make sure, because I've been talking a lot. I just want to make sure that the people in the chat that's watching this live, it makes sense to y'all. Like, does this make sense? Or I'm just talking gibberish. Okay, just, sometimes I can go overboard, but I'm speaking from, here and telling you the transition that I'm making with you, that I've made in the past, the mistakes that I've learned in the past, the wisdom that I paid for, that I'm sharing with you. the seeds that I'm sowing into you, I'm not asking for $1. I'm not the church saying, give me come on up here and sow a seed so I can be you a blessing. And no, let me sow a seed into you and so that I can be a blessing to you. I don't know if maybe I am and maybe I'm not. The whole purpose of this is so that I am, so that we can look up 5 years from now, 2 years from now, a year from now, 6 months from now, and be like, hey, Will, because of those class sessions, those trainings where you was talking about the credit, when you was dropping the credit videos on how to build your business credit, how to clear your credit, what trade lines to use, like, hey, because of that, I actually got here and I was actually able to go and do this here. Another thing too, I, I said I wanted to bring this up tonight. If you are struggling with people viewing or you struggling with apartments, what I was told was that if you freeze your core logic, it will eliminate people from viewing apartment history and rental history. I don't know. It's always worth a try, right? It's just like rolling the dice. It's like, hey, I'm like this. If I get some good information and I'm able to research and that information is being backed by other researchers, take my dice out and we're gonna try, you know? But you also want to freeze LexisNexis, you want to freeze SageStream, you want to freeze ARS resolution, uh, I think it's ARS resolution. No, advanced resolution, something like that. I'll post it in the Telegram. I could be completely wrong, but I'll post it in the Telegram. But you want to freeze those bureaus, even I think it's credit safe. Credit safe. I can't credit safe and clarity. Clarity is an Experian product. So you could possibly freeze those and stop them from pulling, public information from there to help you out. Um, Again, if you're struggling with inquiries, the template is in there. Once you send it out, you can call the credit bureaus and have them remove those same inquiries. But you got to send in that template first. You got to send in that template and the FTC report to them. A lot of people gonna say you don't have to. I'm just telling y'all what worked for me. This is me. I don't care what everybody else is doing. This is what worked for me over the last 8 years. I've been able to do it every single time that I've had an inquiry on my credit. I'll call them, put them on alert, but I'll send them a letter. Once they receive the letter, I call them again and they remove it. Sometimes I just get so lucky and I get somebody that's cool and they want to remove it within 24 hours. I'm cool with that. But again, that's me just doing it. That's me trying. I put the phone numbers. If y'all want to, hey, what's the phone number? It's in the Telegram chat. Anything that I'm saying I put in the chat is in the pinned messages. And what I'm gonna do, probably in the morning, I'm gonna clean up the chat a little bit. But in the pinned messages is where you'll find all the videos. All the videos. Again, internal thinking, internal communication, internal imagery, meaning the images you hold internally of the negative things that you think were going to happen. Again, let's work on being aware of those internal conversations that we're having. And let's try to shift those internal conversations into conversations from the word, like reading the Bible, like literally meditating. This is where it's coming from. Everything that I'm talking to y'all about is just over the last few weeks. I just been so absorbed in becoming a different person, in becoming a better version of myself. And that literally consists of me doing this, studying, that's me studying. Like, I'm not trying to make this group to be what that is, but that's what that is. And, as the facilitator and administrator of the group, I want to make sure that everybody know that's what it is. Like, that's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place where I'm serving, right? And this is me serving part of my purpose. May not be all of my purpose. This is just me serving. So I want to challenge y'all for the remainder of this week to monitor your internal conversation with yourself. Monitor how you feel about yourself. Eliminate those feelings by listening to uplifting music, not R&B uplifting, not rap uplifting. Listen to something else outside of what your norm would be. Uplifting music, dance around, cry, like do everything you can to shift how you feel internally, how you think internally, how you talk to yourself internally, because if the communication that's going up and down is great, but the communication that's going round and round in here is terrible, this will forever be blocked and you will never see progression. Cool. I hope that makes sense to everybody. But I'm gonna open up the floor. I know y'all don't have questions. I know my group. I know y'all don't have questions. Y'all just like to listen, and that's okay. I like to talk, but I like to make sure I'm getting through to y'all whenever I'm talking. So I'm gonna open up the floor if y'all have any questions, any suggestions, you need anything, I'll take a couple questions. And not everybody at once.
Hey, well, I
Yes,
got
sir.
a question.
Yes, sir.
So I got everything. Like I got the addresses that are clearing off of my credit. I'm still trying to figure out Chat GPI. I'm having trouble forming this letter to send to the student
I
loan
know.
company.
So with that, I'll message you separately on that one.
Yes, sir.
That way we can get a document together. So you can go ahead and get that sent out, like at least by Friday, get it sent out, or tomorrow
Yes, sir.
evening, try to get it sent out. But I'll help you out with that.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Okay. I see a question in the chat. Is debt consolidation good or bad? It can be both. Let me say that. Debt consolidation can be both. You're gonna see people on the internet and YouTube say how good it is and how bad it is. It really depends on your situation. Now, debt consolidation, if I were to go into debt consolidation, I would make sure that I have income coming in because you want to be in good faith with those people that's consolidating that debt for you. And then you also want to be conscious of what debt are you even consolidating? Because if it's collection accounts, if it's charge off accounts, if it's accounts that's irrelevant, that's closed out, and you shouldn't consolidate those. If it's student loans, then, you know, if they taking wages, I don't want to give bad advice or, some really, really good advice. I don't know what to say on that because I've never experienced taking wages, but if they taking wages and you trying to do a debt consolidation on that, then that's something that you will probably have to get with it. Your tax preparer, and if you have a financial advisor, or just make a decision, roll the dice. But if it's credit card, the only thing that I know about consolidating, when most people consolidate, is credit card debt. So if they got 50,000, 40 some $1,000 worth of credit card, they might consolidate that just so they can kind of breathe, but then they still had a loan. So it just depends on what you're consolidating. So it's both. Let me say that it's good and it's bad. It's bad if you don't have a solid income to support it or to sustain it and to pay that. It's like, well, I'm still in debt. was the whole point. They cleared up this debt for me to hold on to their debt with interest. You know, so just kind of be mindful when you're doing that. That's a good question. Never had that. Never had anybody ask that. Any other questions? Concerns, comments, praise reports? Cool. Y'all ain't said nothing. Well, again, I appreciate you guys for joining me. Again, this was my first intentional YouTube video. I shot this specifically for my YouTube viewers because nobody really know me in the YouTube world. I'm not a perfected YouTuber. I do plan on perfecting my YouTube skills. And I'm just not the person to just sit in front of a camera and talk to just a camera. I'd rather talk to y'all. I'd rather y'all get in here. Allow me to share with YouTube, but also teach y'all, you know, from my mistakes and from my paid wisdom as well. So if you like it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, you know, thumbs up. If not, then I don't care. I'll see you on the other side. Peace.